The neighbors received my package and immediately called the police. The author of the post is listed in the description. For the third time since I've started ordering Mom, the postal worker delivered my package to the wrong house. The previous 2 times I was able to stop him, and he remedied his mistake. Since then, I've tried to be at home every time I'm expecting this delivery. I made a complaint to Canada Post, but they didn't give a shit. They just said that it's rare that packages aren't delivered to their rightful owner. I obviously can't tell them the nature of the package and why I'm so anxious to receive them. This time, however, I wasn't able to intervene, and my package was delivered to one of my neighbors. Call them Neighbor A. Her next-door neighbor, Neighbor B, and I have become friendly, and we have smoked up together. He is aware of how I receive my product. So Neighbor A received the package, thought it was their package that they were expecting, and opened it, saw what it was, and completely flipped out. Told Neighbor B what happened. Can you believe the danger our neighborhood is being put in with this stuff being delivered in the mail? They've probably put fentanyl in this to try and get their customers addicted. Imagine if a child opened it. This is what happens when our PM is a pothead, yada yada yada, and told my friend Neighbor B that she called the cops, and they would be stopping by to get her statement and retrieve the package in question and investigate further. She also showed the package to Neighbor B, so he saw my name, and as soon as he was able, Neighbor B ran to my house to tell me what happened. I know that if Canada Post figures out what's in the package and lets the cops know, it's the mom that is facing more danger than the recipient. But my name and address are on that package, and the cops will more than likely come by and ask to speak to me. So what do I say? I absolutely did not order this, have no idea what kind of joke this is. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's a very strange situation to be in. To make matters worse, Neighbor A assumed from the quantity, 1 Oz, that I'm trafficking it. She told Neighbor B that she was going to call my landlord and tell him I'm a drug dealer, and had said she was making it her mission to figure out my place of employment to inform them I use and sell drugs. I'm not concerned about either. Both my landlord and my employer are super chill and trust me, so they will more than likely believe me, although I doubt she will figure out where I work. When Neighbor B left to come talk to me, Neighbor A was writing up a letter to drop off with all of our neighbors, informing them there is a drug dealer living in the area, that the cops had been informed, and that she would do her duty to keep everyone informed. Neighbor B tried to tell her that it was harmless, but she's totally gone off the rails and is personally offended that this is happening in her neighborhood. I'm not totally concerned about this. I don't sell drugs, so to spread this information would be slanderous, but even so, I really hope she doesn't go to these lengths. She does nothing all day but post false information on Facebook about immigrants and the danger of liberalism, and ensuring she knows all the comings and goings of our neighborhood. She seems more distraught over the fact that there's a drug house in her neighborhood, and she didn't know about it, rather than the actual danger of a drug house. Update. So, here is my update as of last week. So, what happened? I spoke with a couple of lawyers, as well as a friend who is a former and super chill police officer, and my friend who is a Crown prosecutor. The lawyers told me not to directly answer any questions, play ignorance, and keep them informed about the crazy lady. A couple of days later, 2 cops knocked on my door. Though I knew I would be fine, I freaked out a bit, but played it cool. They told me that they had spoke with a neighbor who had concerns about the safety of the neighborhood, and they wanted to ask a few questions. I know my rights, so I said I would speak with them. They said that there was a neighbor concerned about drug trafficking in the area and wanted to know if I had witnessed any suspicious activity. I said no, none at all. They asked a few more questions, whether I see strange people coming and going late at night, and whether I had any concerns about theft or any vandalism. I said, no, none at all. Then the demeanor changed slightly, and the one officer said, the concern the neighbor is expressing lies mostly in the receipt of marijuana in the mail. I said, in the mail? That's rather interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of traffickers sending marijuana in the mail. And he just gave me a deep gaze and said, we don't believe this is a serious issue, but if you ever receive a package that wasn't intended for you and you suspect it may contain illicit material, don't hesitate to call us. We want to be clear that we do not think there is any reason to be concerned and believe this to be a safe neighborhood. And that was that. They weren't super obvious, and I didn't act suspiciously or anything, but I could tell that they were saying things without saying them, you know? I also want to address all the comments about the neighbor committing a crime by opening my mail. I appreciate the sentiment, but do you really think that she would get charged for this? No way in hell. I was basically told by 2 lawyers that the chances of me getting charged for the marijuana are much higher than the chances of her getting charged with mail fraud, and my chances are extremely minuscule to begin with. I've been told by a Crown prosecutor that it is very, very rare that anyone is charged with mail tampering. It's only there for extreme cases when people are intentionally tampering with your mail, using it for fraudulent purposes, etc. They said the idea of charging her would be laughed out of the Crown's office. While I know that it's illegal to open someone else's mail, I never once thought it would be an option to charge her. My friendly neighbor has also insisted that while she is batshit crazy, he doesn't believe she intentionally opened the mail. She received a similar-looking package later that day, so he thinks she genuinely thought it was hers. And that's what has happened every time my package gets delivered to the wrong house. The stupid delivery man mixes up the packages. If you're expecting a package, I can understand why you may open it without reading the label, though it is still very stupid. Now, back to crazy neighbor lady, and this is strictly for entertainment purposes because I'm not overly concerned about this anymore. She is relentless, though smarter than I thought. While she is vigilantly taking precautions, her words, not mine, to ensure our neighborhood is safe, she has not named me or pointed out my house. The best part is that my friendly neighbor has been keeping tabs on the situation, pretending to care, when really he just wants to report back to me. Luckily, she has no idea that he and I are friends. He knows that she has called the police at least 8 times, has contacted Canada Post, Global and CBC News, Crime Stoppers, and has personally attended the Crown Prosecutor's office. You can laugh and think I'm exaggerating here, but I'm not. She is completely unhinged. And she told my neighbor the reason she's taking this so seriously is because she is flabbergasted at the thought of the activities that are ongoing in the neighborhood without her being aware. She said that you have the right to know what's happening in your neighborhood, and she can't believe that the police aren't taking her seriously and informing everyone in the neighborhood that there is someone selling drugs. But she hasn't named me at all, nor has she pointed out my house. All she says is that police are investigating, so I can't give out details, but I have it on good authority that this is happening, and I witnessed illicit drugs being distributed with my own eyes. Global and CBC didn't even call her back, and Crime Stoppers thanked her for the tip. She was shocked they didn't seem very grateful. The police have advised her that her behavior has become harassing, so she stopped calling them. But the reason she went to the media is because she wants everyone to know that the police aren't taking this life-threatening issue to heart. I know that one family called the police on her because she was harassing them about the dangers their children are in by living in this neighborhood. They were very concerned at first, but when she told them it was a concern of marijuana, they laughed her away. Then she started telling them they were bad parents if they didn't care to make sure their children were safe. The reason they called the police is because she spoke to their kid directly and told him there are drug dealers in the neighborhood and that his parents might not care about his safety, but he shouldn't be outside that late when it's that dangerous. The kid is 14 and it was 8:30 p.m. He told her to F*** off, so they called the police to scare her from speaking to them again. She told my friendly neighbor that based on the kid's reaction, she wouldn't be surprised if he was involved in this trafficking. Now you may wonder why someone would jump to the conclusion that if someone is receiving marijuana in the mail, they must be selling it out of their house. I know I was left confused by that reach. Well, apparently a Facebook post being shared in a private group is to blame. The group is basically there to spread information about the dangers Trudeau has created with his lenient view on the dangerous drug marijuana. So I guess someone in the group caught wind of Mom, did a bunch of research, and made this giant post giving names of a few moms, advised what to look for, and said that criminals are buying mass quantities for cheap, lacing them with fentanyl, and reselling them to children to get them addicted to fentanyl. The post actually claims that the PM owns these companies and is personally profiting off of them. If it's on Facebook, so it must be true, right? Also, everyone did receive a letter. I actually received one myself. It said that marijuana was being distributed in the mail and that the author was working to gather evidence to charge one particular house in the neighborhood that is selling the marijuana and possibly lacing it with fentanyl to get children addicted. It said that anyone with any information is encouraged to contact our neighborhood crime stopper, her, so she can gather all the information and present it to the police. It also said not to worry because she was working very hard to ensure the safety of the neighborhood would be restored. She also set out a time and a date for people to attend her house this weekend and learn about the dangers of marijuana, the threat of drug dealers in our neighborhood, and the potential to set up a neighborhood watch. I'm telling you, she's nuts. She also told my neighbor that she won't be contacting my landlord or employer until she has more evidence. But once I'm in jail, they will know why. It's so dumb. As long as she doesn't actually harass me or name me personally, there's nothing I can do to stop her. Some other tidbits to add to the hilarity. This woman is only 48 years old. She retired early and is living off her divorce settlement. Why did they get divorced, you may ask? Because she caught her husband smoking marijuana. She went into his phone and figured out who his dealer was, and then she took that phone number to the police. Then he filed for divorce. And why does she hate weed? So, you may ask. Because her first love broke up with her because she wouldn't let him smoke marijuana. He was so dependent on it that when she found out he was smoking it and told him to stop, he accused her of being controlling and broke up with her. So that damn devil's lettuce made him break up with her. And even before that, I guess she decided it's off limits because it comes from Mexico. Yeah, did I mention this lady is racist? I'm white, and I can't imagine how much worse this would be if I wasn't. Next update. Last weekend, crazy neighbor A had a meeting at her house. I didn't go. I thought that would be a bit much, though I did want to go and stir the pot. Luckily, friendly neighbor B went for me and was kind enough to report back on the evening. So it became very clear right away that neighbor A had embellished her story even further in order to garner interest in her community meeting. There were about 20 people there. Great turnout for today's apathetic state, if you ask me. And they were all there under the impression that they would be discussing fentanyl within the community. Fentanyl is a serious issue, and people are rightfully concerned about it. Marijuana is not something most people are concerned about. So apparently neighbor lady had told everyone that she was going to be discussing the evidence that there is fentanyl being distributed in our community, and that the police are aware of it and told her it wasn't an issue. So people were naturally intrigued and a bit angry to hear this was happening. Until they got to the meeting and saw a big sign reading, "The dangers of marijuana, pot weed in our community." One lady told my friendly neighbor B that crazy neighbor had told her she found fentanyl in her mailbox. WTF. So people started asking right away what the deal with marijuana was, and then crazy neighbor immediately lost her shit. She started accusing these people of being part of the drug ring happening in our neighborhood, and said, "If you have no problem with marijuana, you support criminals who want nothing more than to get our children addicted and to destroy our community with dangerous drugs." Then everyone realized this lady is nuts, and some people started to try to leave. Included in the audience was the father who had called the cops on this lady the week before for harassing her kid. He started openly laughing when everyone started calling crazy neighbor out, and then she lost her shit and pointed at him and said, "This man has a son and he is irresponsible and does not care that his son is in danger. I told him about the danger his son was in and he laughed me out of his driveway." Then this other nice woman started feeling sorry for crazy neighbor and tried to pull her away and tell her that she was clearly confused and needed some help. Meanwhile, the rest of the neighbors are getting very confused as to what the hell is even going on and why they are even there. Then the neighbor with the son confirms that this woman is really just upset about cannabis, and then everyone understands and begins to feel sorry for crazy neighbor, who is clearly unhinged. Crazy neighbor lady is super upset by this point and says that she did lie about fentanyl because she wanted people to take her more seriously. She said, though, that based on the evidence being shared in my Facebook group, it appears that many criminals are using marijuana to get their customers addicted to fentanyl. This one guy starts laughing at her and admits he uses cannabis regularly. Another lady confirmed the same. Then crazy neighbor tells them to leave her property and warns them that she will be reporting that information to the police. Then I guess some people started asking her what she's going to do in a few weeks when cannabis is legal, and she said she will be reporting every person she sees smoking it to the police. They ask what she will report them for when it's legal. She says, "One day when our country is restored to a proper conservative government, marijuana will be criminalized and everyone who was illegally smoking it will end up in jail." You can't make this shit up. So then everyone leaves the house, including friendly neighbor B. They all gather in front of her house to discuss what just happened, all feeling a bit incredulous and flabbergasted. Then she pops her head out the door and tells everyone she just called the police for trespassing. So a few people decide to leave, but a handful of people decide to stay because they think this is hilarious and want to see how it plays out. So about a half hour later, a police car shows up. I should note that the people are gathered in front of her house, but they are more so on the sidewalk, and also partly on my friendly neighbor's lawn, as they live next door to one another. So the police come out and ask what is going on. The guy who was the first in the meeting to admit that he uses cannabis takes over and tells the police what is happening. He says that this woman got everyone to gather at her house under the false pretense that she would be discussing the dangers of fentanyl in the community. But it turned out it was about marijuana. And then she started threatening everyone there that she would be telling the police that they are all illegally using marijuana. The police said that this woman was known to them and that she had made several complaints about drug use in the community. They said they were going to go talk to her but told everyone to go home. So that is the end of my story of the crazy neighbor lady. Apparently, her daughter showed up this week and was talking to neighbor B about what she can do to get an assessment done on her mother. The daughter doesn't believe it will help much, though, because her mom has always been this way. I guess she got her daughter's friend suspended from school when they were in high school, because her friend came home drunk one night, so she told the school administration that she was bragging about being drunk at school and drinking in class. She later told her daughter she lied about it to prove a point, and that's what happens when you drink underage. So I guess she's just always been like this. I guess crazy neighbor lady has a niece who was caught with weed by her parents, about 17 years old. And crazy neighbor convinced her sister that she had seen her selling it to children on the corner of the school. She again told her daughter that she did it to prove a point so they would discipline her properly. She doesn't care if she lies and ruins people's lives. She will do anything to further her agenda. Anyway, everyone can laugh about this insane situation. It may seem unbelievable, but this is legit. As my mom always says, it takes all kinds. How do you like this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.